Happy birthday, Luisa Piccarreta! Today we celebrate a little soul, but with an immense mission. The little daughter of the divine will, chosen by God to open the doors to a new holiness in the Church, the holiness of the divine will. Today we remember her life, her total surrender, her constant yes, the wonderful gift the Lord has given us through her, the gift of living in the divine will. We invite you to join us, to celebrate this anniversary with gratitude, to immerse yourself in her writings, and to renew, with love and hope, our own fiat to the divine will.
I present to you the servant of God, Luisa Piccarreta, known as the little daughter of the divine will. Luisa Piccarreta was born on April 23, 1865, in Corato, Italy. She was the daughter of peasants and was baptized on the same day. At the age of 9, Luisa received her first communion and confirmation. From then on, Jesus began to speak to her in her interior. By the age of 12, Luisa had a constant dialogue with Jesus, who wanted to make her his perfect image. At 13, Luisa saw Jesus from her balcony carrying the cross, and he said to her, "Soul, help me." Luisa offers herself as a victim soul and begins a harsh 3-year trial. Jesus hides and allows demons to torment her. This trial purifies Luisa and prepares her as a worthy dwelling place for Jesus. At 17, Luisa enters her usual state. Every night, she would lose her senses and become petrified as if dead. No one could move her because her body weighed like a block of marble. This state occurred every day until her death at 81. Doctors could not wake her. Then her family called Friar Cosme Loyotis, who blessed her hand, and Luisa awoke. From that moment, she needed a priest to bless her daily to emerge from that state. From the age of 17, Luisa stopped eating because she could not open her mouth to feed herself. But it was Jesus who cared for her, sustained her, and fed her. During her usual state, Jesus would show her the state of the world, the church, and teach her virtues. When Jesus did not come to see her, Luisa suffered greatly, because her love for him grew stronger each day. At 23, on July 21, 1888, Luisa experienced her first mystical marriage with Jesus. He took her heart, purified it of the fomes peccati, tendency to sin, and began a stage of union of wills. In her second mystical marriage, in the presence of the Holy Trinity, Luisa is confirmed as God's property, and he establishes his throne in her heart. Luisa feels divinized. She no longer lives, but they live in her. She can see and hear the three divine persons. At 25, on the day of the exaltation of the cross, Luisa is wedded to the cross. She receives the complete crucifixion, invisible stigmata, the crown of thorns, and her heart pierced by a lance. She describes it as unspeakable sufferings and indescribable joys. Soon after, Jesus takes Luisa's heart and places it inside his own. Then he exhales 3 sighs of light, which he places in Luisa's chest to give her life. Thus, Luisa begins to live from Jesus' heart. At 33, Luisa receives special permission from Pope Leo XIII to have daily Mass in her room. This allows her to remain in bed as a victim soul. At 34, Father Gennaro orders Luisa to write everything Jesus tells her. Luisa remains in bed for 40 years and writes 36 notebooks called the Book of Heaven. At 54, Jesus reveals to Luisa that she is the first soul stigmatized in the divine will. For more than 50 years, Jesus had been preparing Luisa for what was to come. Then, on February 22, 1921, he spoke to her and said, "The third fiat will give such grace to the creature as to make her return almost to the state of origin. And then, once I have seen man just as he came out of me, my work will be complete, and I will take my perpetual rest in the last fiat. Only the life in my volition will give back to man the state of origin. Therefore, be attentive, and together with me, help me to complete the sanctification of the creature. At 56, Jesus pronounces the fiat of sanctification through Luisa, marking the beginning of the era of the third fiat. He grants humanity the gift of living in the divine will. Jesus to Luisa: this living in my will is the greatest gift I want to give to creatures. My goodness wants to make ever greater display of love toward creatures, and since I have given them everything, and have nothing else to give to make myself loved, I want to give them the gift of my will, so that, by possessing it, they may love the great good they possess. He also said, the divine will is the sanctity not yet known, which I will make known, and which will place the last ornament and the most beautiful, the most refulgent among all other sanctities, and will be crown and fulfillment of all other sanctities. And Jesus, making my will known to you, has been the greatest grace I have given you. Knowledge opens the doors of the good which is known, and the more knowledge as I have manifested to you about my will, the more different doors of goods, of light, of grace, and of divine participations I have opened for you. At 73, out of obedience to her confessor, Luisa finishes writing the Book of Heaven, which collects the 36 volumes from Jesus on how to receive the gift of living in the divine will. Luisa dies in Corrado, Italy on March 4, 1947, at the age of 81. Luisa's body did not show signs of rigor mortis, which normally occurs shortly after death. Her body remained exposed for 4 days, and many people visited her. They could move her head, arms, hands, and even her fingers. Luisa appeared alive as if only asleep. On the day of her departure, a large crowd accompanied Luisa Piccarreta. Among them, the religious of the House of the Divine Will, who with deep love honored the little soul who lived entirely in God's will. A procession, not of farewell, but of gratitude for a life surrendered to the divine will. Upon her departure, the entire town came out to bid her farewell. Luisa was known to all as Luisa the Saint. A crowd flooded the streets of Corrado, testifying to the love, faith, and admiration for that soul who lived for God and who made the divine will her dwelling. The cause for beatification of Luisa Piccarreta was officially resumed in June 2024 after being suspended since 2019 due to some doubts about her writings. These doubts were clarified and no doctrinal errors were found. With the Church's approval, the process continues forward. Luisa Piccarreta's most important writings include her spiritual diary, titled The Book of Heaven, which she wrote for nearly 40 years, The Hours of the Passion, the fruit of having mystically and daily relived Jesus' passion for over 30 years, and The Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will, a book dictated by the Virgin Mary. She wrote all these works out of obedience to her confessors. Despite having only completed the first grade of elementary school, Luisa wrote with a depth and clarity that astonishes even theologians. Would you like to learn more about the life and writings of the servant of God, Luisa Piccarreta? We invite you to visit our YouTube channel, DivineWillApp. There you will find teachings, reflections, and content to help you live the fiat with greater light, love, and depth. Subscribe and share the divine will. Do you have an iPhone? Then don't miss this opportunity. Download the DivineWillApp now from the App Store and carry with you the prayers, the Book of Heaven, the Hours of the Passion, and much more, always at your fingertips. Would you like to know who we are?
The Fundación Hijos de la Luz, Inc.
has the mission to make known and spread the writings of the servant of God, Luisa Piccarreta, in full communion with the Catholic Church. Through our initiatives, we cry out with the entire Church, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Visit our website, DivineWillApp.com. Everything has been prepared, heaven has spoken. Jesus extends his hands and offers you the crown of his divine will. Beside him, Mary, the queen of the fiat, and Luisa, the little daughter of the divine will, gaze at you with love, awaiting your response. Today is not an end, it is a beginning. It is your turn. Receive the gift. Live in the divine will. Do it for love of him who loved you first. And repeat with all your being, "Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." This video is based on the official biography of Luisa published by the Vatican Library. For more information, visit the official website of Luisa Piccarreta. This production has been made possible thanks to
The Fundación Hijos de la Luz, Inc.
and all its collaborators. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to welcoming you with joy on our YouTube channel to continue deepening together in the gift of living in the divine will.